finished blocks. I did them a little differently. Usually I do them all one color, but this time I decided to do split blocks. So I did half a block of blue on each side, half a block of yellow in the middle. Then I went all the way across with orange, 3 rows. And then I did half a block of yellow on top of the blue and half a block of blue on top of the yellow. Then I finished up that tapestry with another 15 rows of orange basic, and you can see the little slits between the blocks of color. They look like little buttonholes. So that's called open slit tapestry. Now we're going to do Loop Rya. It's another form of Rya, but instead of being fluffy with cut ends, it's going to be loopy. So I have 3 pieces of yarn, 1 of each color. You could use 2 of one color, like 2 blue and then 1 yellow. Or you could use all the same color. You could have 3 blue if you wanted. So I tied a knot in one end of the yarn, and it's a little more than 2 arms long. And we're going to use that knot to weave with. So I put my needles aside, and now I'm going to take the knot and I'm going to weave it across in basic weave, starting under. On the left, when we weave for our loops, we weave from left to right the same way we read. So I always go under the first string when I'm weaving the yarn across for loops. Under 1, over 1, under 1, over 1, under 1, over 1. It's just basic weave. And I'm only going to go across the loom 1 time. So now I'm across once, and it doesn't matter if your yarn gets twisted. Then you can pull it across until the left side of the yarn is short and the right side is long. Look at all that yarn on the right side. All right, now keeping it up a little above my basic, I'm going to use a chopstick. You could use a knitting needle or a dowel stick or a long pencil, or you could use 2 pencils. One will get you halfway and the other one would get you the other halfway. Anything that's round and about the size of a pencil. Of course, you can make them smaller with smaller sticks or larger with larger sticks. Every place where the yarn is on top of a string, like it is here and here and here, you're going to pinch it and pull it up to make a loop. Then take your stick and put it down through the loop and point up. There's the next one. Pull, go down and up. Pull, go down and up. I like to think about swimming in the pool. There's a big old wave and I dive down under the water and come back up for air. Always go back up for air. You're just moving your stick like this. Okay, and the next spot that you're going to pull is pretty close in. Don't skip over to the next one. Try to get the closest one. Going down and up. Don't make the mistake of going up through the loop, because if you do that, your loop is going to be in a different direction. So far, all the loops are going like this. If you go up through the loop, then it's going to be like that. It looks much nicer if all the loops are in the same direction around the stick. And every time I pull, the long end of my yarn gets a little shorter. You can pull it up as high as you need to, and then just pull the end of your yarn to tighten it up. And one more. Okay. That just about did it. That's just the right size. Okay. Now I'm going to push that chopstick down right on top of my last basic. And I like to trim the ends of my yarn right below my blocks. right about there. And we leave the stick in until we lock in those loops, and we lock them in the same way we locked in our fluffy Rya, with 4 rows of basic weave. So I have some orange yarn on my needle. I like to use the same color for my lock-in basic as I used for my loops, and since I used all 3 colors, I could pick any one I wanted. So I'm going to do 4 rows of basic to lock in those loops. If you want to be creative, you can do the loops halfway across, and on the other side you can just do a block of color, and then you can switch and do a block of color on your first side and top the other block of color with loops. You can do a lot of different things once you learn the basic stitches. You can use them any way you want, to make patterns, to make pictures. Putting my finger there because I don't want to pull too hard. Okay, that's my third one. Now I'm just going to cut that. You can do 3 or 4 or 5 rows, just enough to lock it in. Push that down really hard under that stick. And now that it's locked in, you can just slide that stick out, push the basic down again, and you have done 1 row of loops. I like to do 4 rows of loops. You could do 5 and lock each row in with basic weave. So the next step would be to get 3 more pieces of yarn, weave them across in basic weave, make your loops, and lock it in. Happy looping!